creating a print using the Pochoir technique, I'm going to essentially be creating stencils that I'm going to be printing using either watercolor, acrylic, or gouache paint. So what I need to do, because I'm going to be creating stencils, is first I need to establish the size of the piece of paper I'm going to print on. This is going to determine the scale of what you're going to be printing, and it will also help you determine how you're going to lay out your work compositionally. So what I'm going to do is, next, once I've looked at my piece of paper and I've developed my plan for what I'm going to print through a sketch, I'm going to make my stencils. To make my stencils, I can use a variety of materials. Essentially, I can use either a paper that is heavier weight than a piece of printer paper. Any paper will do. You just want it to be able to stand up to paint being painted onto it without buckling. Printer paper and newsprint will probably buckle, so you won't be able to get as much longevity out of your stencils. Another thing you can use is you can use your Yupo paper. Again, this is that plasticky translucent paper. You can also use Duralar, which Duralar are sheets of thin, plasticky material that you can cut stencils out of. And this and Yupo would be the kind of stencils that would last a really long time, but these materials are not necessary to do your Pochoir. Just having heavyweight paper works really well. So when I'm doing my Pochoir, I want to take time to draw out my stencils sometimes, so considering the shapes that I want in advance, and this will help guide me as I'm cutting. So if I want, a blobby circular shape, I have it ready, and I'm going to first cut around it to have a piece for my stencil that I'll be able to move around. Get rid of that. And now I can cut it out. If you just have scissors like me, you can kind of fold your paper a little bit to get into the middle, cut a little snip, and then work your way around to create your stencil. If you have an X-Acto knife and a cutting mat, that would work really well here because you'll be able to cut out from paper even more easily, but this works just fine. So you'll cut out your stencils from your piece of paper. Okay, so now I'm ready with that. I could also, if I wanted to, I could experiment with perhaps tearing paper to create a stencil for my Pochoir if I wanted a more organic form. Something else that could be interesting is using textured material like lace or something woven that you can then print through to get that imprint and add another texture to your piece. So that is how you create stencils to get ready to print for Pochoir.